We have asked Rachel Reeves to appear on the show this morning, but obviously she's doing every other programme apart from this one. I don't know why she doesn't want to come on here, but I dare say we've got a better guest anyway. We've actually got Ashley Armstrong from The Sun, who is the business editor there. Ashley, very good morning to you.
Morning.
Busy day yesterday.
Yes.
You've got a piece in the paper today on page 10. Think times are tough now. Just wait till the workers' rights laws kick in.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more can we take?
I know.
We're feeling punch drunk in the ring.
I know. I didn't want to be a complete Eeyore about things because, you know, I am naturally kind of glass half full, but it just feels like there's another thing kind of, and Andrew Griffiths explained as a shadow Chancellor kind of explained it as an unexploded bomb. And
yes.
I think it is that. It's like, you know, business has already been battered by the budget. There was nothing in there yesterday to help them out. And they've got this kind of employment rights reform,
yes.
which everybody kind of is now kind of almost gearing up to. You don't know how bad it's going to be. It's going to be a jobs destroyer for a lot of people. It really is.
And that in addition to the national insurance hike that's kicking in the 1st of April, which a lot of people are telling me in business is going to completely change the way they do business. They're having to let people go. You know, I know that there's a big car company in London that we use quite a lot. I'm not going to say their name, but I'm told that they're going to 0 hours contracts for all their drivers.
Oh, really?
They're no longer going to be paying for the cars. The drivers are all suffering because they're not going to make as much money.
Yeah.
You know, and all of that. So there's amazing numbers of sort of, you know, long-term effects here.
Yeah, and it's actually just a stupid move, really, to have done it, because it definitely targets those flexible workers, those part-time workers, which actually, if you think, if we're struggling with kind of inactivity, the best way to get people into work again is by taking those easier jobs on the flexibility, the part-time, that can kind of work around their lives. And actually employers, it's going to be so much more expensive to hire part-time that they might as well go full-time. So that's excluding even more people from getting back into work.
And this is at the same time as I'm trying to say they're going to try and get more disabled people or people who are claiming disability benefit into work. At a time when employers are being discouraged from doing that. It's a sort of
like the jobs that they could actually
the left hand and the right hand don't seem to be talking to each other.
No, and once again it just kind of reinforces that message that maybe Labour just doesn't get business. It doesn't get business, despite all of their kind of run up to the election, you know, kind of talking about, you know, how we're working with business. I mean, business has done enough consultations. They were out of power for 14 years. How have they still not understood kind of what's needed?
And isn't it interesting, and I mean, we say this a lot, but I mean, it's getting worse with every week that passes, that they didn't seem to be prepared at all for what they were going to be doing. I mean, you know, despite everything they said about everything's fully costed, we won't be doing anything unless it's fully costed, and we're ready to hit the ground running. We've got, you know, teams of people ready to take over every government department. And they came in, and it was almost as though it was like sort of a bunch of sixth formers going, "Oh, blimey, look, can I sit in the chair and have a picture taken? Well, let's take all those pictures down. Let's put some more pictures up." And it was all this kind of ridiculous performative kind of stuff. And yet the meat and bones of running the economy seem to have been forgotten.
I mean, I think that's it. And, you know, Rachel Reeves kind of came in almost like as the antithesis to Liz Truss, right? She was secure economics, it was going to be stability.
The Iron Chancellor.
We're not going to be doing this. And yet, not only kind of in the budget did she change the fiscal rules. You know, we had yesterday, she blitzed through them because, like, the debt interest cost got so wonky that actually you're going to be paying so much more in debt. It's that tinkering at the seams that just seems to kind of suggest that actually what they came in with isn't there at all.
No, exactly right. And I wondered, because their first budget was all about growth, and you know, they were talking about, you know, everything that we're doing is all about the growth. And then yesterday, the first thing she said was, growth is going to disappear from 2% down to 1%.
Yeah, did you notice how quickly she said that?
Yeah, I know. And you think, well, okay, so your first go was a complete failure, in other words. So your attempt at making growth happen didn't work. So now what are you going to do? And there's nothing really in what she said yesterday that gives me any confidence that there's going to be any growth at all.
Well, to give her some credit, I mean, you know, she points at that kind of Neverland of, like, in 4 years' time, and housing reforms will pay off. But there's a long way to go. And as we, you know, just spoke about, you know, if we've got Trump kind of changing the way of the world by tweet kind of at 10 o'clock at night, how are you meant to make policy? And particularly that kind of housing reform, yes, it's something that, you know, actually the Tories had dreamed of for ages, you know, let's rip up planning, let's get building. But my God, haven't we seen how tricky that is to actually happen? And we know that there's a skills shortage and everything else. So actually getting and betting on that growth is quite tough.
So what happens next? I mean, she does now have to go until, if she survives, because a lot of people seem to think that, you know, she might not survive through the summer. But if she does survive through the summer and she makes it to another budget statement in October, I guess it would be, I mean, God knows what state the economy's going to be in by then.
Well, also as well, I mean, we've got pretty much every economist saying that autumn is going to be it. So we were spared yesterday from tax rates. Is going to be happening in the autumn, because that kind of fiscal headroom, that rainy day fund that is so very thin and bizarrely almost to the penny compared to what she did in October, that there's going to have to be some manoeuvring. And, you know, the world will probably have changed and probably got even more volatile, judging by how things are happening. So she'll have enough things and enough air cover to blame that on.
And I mean, in terms of the sort of the sum of all things, I suppose, lots of people are telling me the civil service cutbacks are not really what it says on the tin. 15% over 5 years. It's really only 3% a year, which is pretty much natural wastage. They're not really going to be suddenly slashing and burning through all sorts of corridors of the Home Office and the Foreign Office and all of that. So that's a bit of a shibboleth. And similarly, you know, the amounts of money that they say they're going to raise is all so far in the future that it's not really going to benefit anybody.
Well, that's it. It's kind of, you know, it's massaging kind of the numbers to make sure that they fit in by the end of Parliament, right? I mean, the civil service we all know is bloated, and, you know, there are probably cuts that are going to be there. It depends where the cuts fall, right? And if they are actually the right cuts. And she's talking about bringing in AI and tech and things like that. Well, a lot of them work from home most of the time, right?
Well, I spoke to Dave Penman, you know, who runs one of the big civil service unions. He was very relaxed, and I said, "Are you sure you're feeling all right?" You know, this guy used to sort of literally froth at the mouth when the Tories ever talked about taking one guy out of an office. And I got the impression from how relaxed he was that he wasn't really convinced that it was even going to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's also maybe that element of, you know, it's been so well trailed, right? Some of them have been bracing for 11% cuts. And if it's actually going to happen on that level, I mean, if you tell somebody the worst thing that's going to happen, and actually when it comes down to it, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah, over 5 years, not that big of a deal. I mean, they could get 3% of people just volunteering for redundancy.
Yes, which they've said that they are going to kick off, and
that might be enough for them.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm sure then they'll be able to get very better paid jobs in the private sector as well.
Well, maybe some of them. Maybe some. I think some of them have done so little for so long that they've forgotten how to do any work. Anyway, great piece, Ashley. Good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Ashley Armstrong, big piece on page 10 of The Sun today. If you think it's bad now, it's going to get a lot worse. I'm sorry to laugh, but, you know, what else to do?